Hello, this is Molly Wilson, and you are listening to the Solopreneur Shift. On today's episode, I want to talk about something very personal, but also probably relatable to any female entrepreneur out there. This is about the difference between hustling and forcing and flowing and growing. Okay, so this is a little bit of a new age spin on doing business because I feel like for myself and probably for many other women, there's a lot of pressure for us to perform. There's a lot of expectations out there of how we should show up and do business, and belief that we can't grow a business or be successful without hustling. So I want to talk about this because of my personal experience over the years, having that belief and also chasing my ideal business has actually made it harder for me to grow. And this is something I'm realizing as I'm entering my new cycle, my new year. I just had a birthday yesterday, so I kind of have some epiphanies and revelations from it that are really helping me in my business and how I move forward. But before I jump into this conversation today, I'm going to do the product of the podcast. This is where I highlight a product or a service that I share and do so that you know how you can work with me and how I help people. So on today's episode, I'm going to spotlight my idea to offer workbook. Now, I've been talking about this briefly, but if this is my guide, my reflective process of finding an aligned business or an offer from an idea that you have. So it really helps you choose what it is that is calling your heart, what it is that's in your body and your soul, and figuring out a strategy that's going to work for you. I myself have used this to come up with my business strategy, come up with my business plan, what I was doing, what I wanted to offer, and do it my way. So I created this workbook. It is a 30-day guide to help aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are shifting in their business create an aligned offer from their experience and their wisdom. So you can find that in the show notes below. That is the Idea to Offer workbook. All right, so back to this conversation. This is about why hustling isn't working anymore. Okay, so the old way of doing business is grinding. It is hustling. It is working hard. And, that worked for a while, but there are so many things in our world that are speeding up and making things very easy for us where we actually don't need to work as hard. Now, I'm not just talking about AI. I'm not just talking about automations. I'm not talking about technology. I'm kind of just talking about overall energy, because what I have found is that as a woman, when we push too hard with our masculine energy, we move out of balance, right? So we have these characteristics of masculinity and femininity. This has nothing to do with gender. This is just our unique energy makeup. And when we are hustling, we are really emphasizing the masculine side of us. That is the logical, practical, action-oriented version of us. And what ends up happening is that this soft, feminine, receiving, and flowy and creative side of us, this very intuitive side of us, goes down. It's shadowed. It's like numbed out, actually. And so we become dysregulated. We become imbalance between these two energies within us. And oftentimes what happens is that we burn out, right? So we can actually burn out from this masculine hustling energy. And then we also lose touch with our intuition. We lose touch with our creation and our enthusiasm. Now, as someone who has been through this and experienced that contrast, that imbalance, it is very hard to get yourself out of it because, again, we have so many cultural beliefs, so many influences, so many factors in our modern world telling us that's how we need to be in order to be successful. But the reality is our energy as a female, as a woman, operates differently. And we need to really lean into some of those softer sides of us to allow things to happen more naturally. And I've been a part of programs and groups that really that are very masculine oriented, very action taking and fiery. And that's fine. That works for some people to just get shit done. But on the other side, that might not work for people long term. It might burn them out. It might make them frustrated. It might discourage them because, they might think there's something wrong with them if they're unable to sustain that. And quite honestly, it's just because that's not the way their energy works. And there's a lack of attention on the feminine aspects of us. It's this energetic need that we have to focus on and bring into our business so that it can be sustainable. It can be something we can utilize and really work with, because when we are on go mode all of the time, what happens is that we miss a lot of the natural synchronicities, natural opportunities that come our way. And actually, we work against the grain instead of allowing these things to move us along in our natural timeline. Again, I'm saying this from personal experience. I'm very guilty of trying to rush my process and trying to create something when maybe my energetic body isn't there yet. And, it's a big lesson I've learned is to surrender. And I think that's part of this process, that we need to surrender to our natural timeline. We need to let go of this idea and the expectation that we need to hustle, because it's burning us out and it's actually keeping us stuck. It's sometimes making that journey, that step forward, even harder. So for me, I tend to have a very strong masculine side. I'm very logical. I'm very strategic. I'm very organized. So I have the skill of, masculine traits, so to say. But that doesn't mean that I can't lean into this flow side, this feminine side, the creative side. And as I mentioned in my last episode, that was something I was missing. I was really feeling burnt out, discouraged, and overwhelmed with my business. So I decided to take a break from all of this hustle, right? And creating my to-do lists and the action-oriented plans, and really just allowing myself to flow in my day around what I wanted to do. And I'm saying this because over the last week or so, since letting go or surrendering, more things have entered into my life. I haven't felt as, to be honest, I haven't had as much pain, because when I'm working on my computer and I'm pushing myself, I'm online, I'm creating content, all of that, I can get headaches. And I realize that's probably not a good thing, right? So I've taken the step back to do more fun, to really do more creative projects and things that bring me joy. And I've noticed just my whole body shifting. And then with that, more things are just happening naturally. And I'm not as stressed. That's huge, right? So I just want to introduce that idea of flow, or remind you that that's a natural part of our life. It's a natural part of how we do business and how we interact with the world. And it's something necessary. It's for us. And it's a legitimate strategy to use instead of trying to be so action-oriented and masculine and attached to timeline and details and outcomes. Instead, we just flow and we allow what happens to happen. We just naturally surrender to life, right? So if you are feeling the pressure, if you are overwhelmed, if you are stuck and beating yourself up about not being where you want to be, I just want to remind you that our bodies as women, as females, whatever, we have a natural cycle, right? Normally, that's part of us, but we also have a spiritual side to us that needs to be nurtured. And spiritual meaning your feminine, intuitive, creative side. Doesn't have to be spiritual meaning religious or secular or anything. This is spiritual meaning you, yourself, your higher wisdom, your intuition, all of that. And so mostly I just want to remind you that this is important, and leaning into this side of you, this feminine side of you, can bring in more business, can bring more in alignment and make things really easy for you. It's not about forcing anymore. It's about flowing and softening and experimenting with things that bring you joy. So my invitation for you this week is to try that out. All right. Is to maybe look at your to-do list, and instead of feeling the need to do them all, pick 2 or 3, the top, the priorities, and then the rest say, well, if I get to it, I'll get to it. And also tune inward, right? And just check in with your own beliefs around hustle, business, success. What does that look like for you? And is there an imbalance? Are you feeling that pressure to hustle, to grind? Are you allowing yourself to receive and relax? Be open to different possibilities. Be open to the magic. And if you're feeling like that doesn't really resonate with you, I invite you to practice. Just try. Okay. It is within you. It's just sometimes when we ignore it and it's dormant for so long, it feels far and it feels foreign. So the more you can bring it into your awareness, the more you practice, the stronger it'll get, the easier it'll become to access, and the more it will be a part of your life. Take it from me. This is the whole journey that I am going through right now. And it is so empowering. It's so insightful, and it's so light. I think that's the word that comes up, where I'm feeling just really grateful instead of feeling unappreciative, instead of feeling behind. When you can incorporate this flow into your life, it just feels better. It just feels more natural. So with that, I will leave you to ponder about your energy, where you're at, how things are going, what you need. And let me know in the comment. Share. I'd love to hear where you're at, if this was helpful. If there's anything that you found insightful, maybe someone else will. So I appreciate that. And make sure you like and subscribe to stay up to date to the weekly videos I post on entrepreneurship and personal stories, all of the things. So thank you for listening. This is Molly Wilson, and I will see you online.